Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I haven't even checked in the hotel good. And I get sent this message that um allegedly, and we are going to use the words allegedly. If this is your first time in here or if it's not, please go ahead and like the stream and subscribe. This is She Loves Thee podcast. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to get myself together. But I wanted to basically go live to talk about this news that AD Ashley Robinson is getting ready to make an announcement that he has decided to go back to Prairie View as their head AD. So we're just going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. And we're going to talk about AD Ashley Robinson, his tenure at Jackson State, his tenure at Prairie View. We're going to talk about his impact, not only just for Jackson State, but all over, because he is making waves. He was AD Coach of the Year, which is a really big thing to be the Athletic Director of the Year and represent HBCUs. So I'm going to pull up the tweet that was sent to me, and I was just like, you know what? Where there's smoke, there's fire. And too many news outlets have said that this is happening. So that means that it must be happening, right? I don't think that many different news media outlets would be reporting this and then it not be true. So I'm getting ready to pull that up. Let's see. So this is the tweet that was posted. And it says multiple sources. So not just one, but multiple sources have indicated that Prairie View A&M University will soon announce Ashley Robinson to return in the role of athletic director. Stay tuned for more information. As though, like, this came up a couple weeks ago, and it was really big on Twitter. And we're going to basically go through this article. This is HBCU Game Day. They basically put this out, and it said Jackson State University's AD Ashley Robinson draws interest from SWAC school. Another SWAC school is interested. And this was posted on July 18th by Stephen Gaither. And basically it says that AD Ashley Robinson was at Prairie View from 2013 through 2018 before returning back to take over Jackson State University. AD Ashley Robinson is a Jackson, Mississippi native. So he's from the Jacktown. It says Prairie View A&M's AD role is currently being filled by John Gardner, and he's been the interim role since October, when the former president fired Donald Reed, who had previously filled the position. Dr. Simmons has since been replaced by Tamika LaGrande. So there's been a lot of changes in the Prairie View, not just athletics, but there's been a turnover in the administration. as well. And Jackson State has also had some turnover with coaching and with our president resigning. So in those types of ways, minus the president scandal, both universities have had some turnover. And let's talk a little bit about the rest of this article. So it says that while at Prairie View A&M, Robinson implemented the Athletic Directors Club with membership increasing annually. Season ticket sales increased yearly. He also created and expanded corporate partnerships for the department, broadening the brand exposure and reach of Prairie View A&M athletics. So that's also one of the things that when AD Ashley Robinson came to Jackson State, he definitely expanded the corporate partnerships imprint and made sure to secure those as well, even after the exit of Coach Prime. Let's see. He was also responsible for hiring Coach Willie Simmons as a first-time head coach while at Prairie View A&M. Simmons has won 27 games in the last 3 regular seasons since moving on to Florida A&M. So he was responsible for the Willie Simmons hire at Prairie View. And then since being hired by Jackson State in 2018, Robinson has continued to find talented coaches. His first key find was Tamika Reed, who led the women's basketball program to back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances. And then, of course, we all know that AD Ashley Robinson hired Deion Sanders. And then he also went and bought back Mo Williams, who is also a Jackson State native, Coach Mo Williams. During the 2022 to 2023 athletic season, Jackson State won SWAC championships in men's cross country, women's soccer, football, and women's basketball. JSU student athletes posted a 3.1 GPA during the fall semester and graduated nearly 70 student athletes during the 2022 and 2023 academic year. So, in other words, AD Ashley Robinson has been on a tear in this SWAC, and he's highly touted. And then I wouldn't even just limit him to the SWAC because he has notoriety nationally. He was recently awarded AD of the Year. He was the first African-American AD to be president of, I guess, the FCS ADs. I'm going to pull those up. So I'm going to do a poll in the chat. And I'm just going to ask, what do you guys think? Is moving to Prairie View a good idea for AD Ashley Robinson? And let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. I did see somebody say that Prairie View has the biggest enticer of it all, which is money. Let me see. Yep. Mr. Cunningham said Prairie View is loaded with money. Mr. Hardy says we'll be just fine because we're harder than fish grease. And I agree with that statement. I do question whether or not the AD would try to recruit Coach Reed to Prairie View. I don't know now. He might say, Tamika Reed, come on over to Prairie View. We got you a recruiting budget, a nice little salary. So it just depends. And he's done a phenomenal job. I wanted to quickly go over also his accolades from just being AD of the year, which a lot of people don't realize that he's actually highly touted nationally. They know about him. I really thought that AD Robinson was actually going to leave when Deion Sanders left. I really did. So I'm surprised at that he is choosing to exit, especially right now, while we are on the precipice of this new season. I wanted to quickly see if I can read this. I don't know if it'll put something in there. But this is a article that was put out by the Mississippi Clarion Ledger last year, and it says, after winning AD of the year, Ashley Robinson plans to dominate the FCS in football and beyond. He was recognized as one of 28 winners of the Cushman and Wakefield AD of the Year Award Tuesday in Las Vegas. So this is interesting. And in this particular interview, AD Robinson said, you walk through the airport, you turn the radio on, you open the newspaper, you turn SportsCenter on, you see Jackson State University. That shows the branding that we're doing for our institution and the success we're having. We want to continue to grow Jackson State, but that's one of the best experiences you can ever have as an athletic director. Of course, we all know that Jackson State has the highest FCS record attendance. So he also said, right now we want to dominate the FCS. Then we can see where we are. I think we're close. And that was in response to whether or not Jackson State could possibly move up to the FBS. And it says the success went beyond football, which we know that the women's basketball team won their SWAC championship. Our soccer team had won the SWAC championship. And then Coach Mo Williams, even in his first year as head basketball coach, did a phenomenal job. For me, the question is, what is it that, do you feel like you're duplicating? Are you trying to duplicate the imprint or basically what happened at Jackson State? Are you trying to mimic that at Prairie View? And is that particular branding possible for Prairie View? So that's my question, because Jackson State, with the branding, it's absolutely phenomenal. And it takes a special person to be able to highlight those types of things. Like, it's very, you have to have like a mastermind with marketing and learning how to present the university in a light that sponsors will want to say, hey, we want to invest in it. So my question is, are you able to duplicate that at Prairie View? Do you have what it takes to be able to duplicate that? That's the only question that I have. And let's quickly go over another one of his awards. So this just happened about 2 months ago. The annual Black Student Athlete Summit, powered by Playfly, is pleased to announce that Jackson State University Vice President and Athletic Director Ashley Robinson is the 2023 recipient of their Athletic Director of the Year Award. His commitment to the holistic development of Black student athletes and his commitment to HBCUs has been outstanding, says Dr. Leonard Moore, the founder of the Black Student Athlete Summit. Vice President Robinson accepted the award today on the campus of USC in Bovard Auditorium. So this happened basically in May. So he is highly recruited, highly touted. And once again, I'm going to pull up that tweet because I do want to say until something is completely announced, then as of right now, he's still our AD. It's kind of like the same thing that I said when they were talking about Coach Prime leaving. I was like, he's still our coach this week. So until he's not. But this particular tweet did kind of send up some red flags because they've been talking about it for several weeks now. So basically, that's that thing like where Black folks cannot keep a secret, or they'll like say, hey, I want to tell you something, but they make sure you don't tell nobody. And then they tell the next person, listen, I want to tell you a secret, but don't tell nobody. And then the next person says it, and then everybody figures out what it is. I dropped my StreamYard in the chat in the event that you guys want to come up here and talk. This is actually pretty huge news. Less than 24 hours away from SWAC Media Day. We have so much stuff that's going on in HBCU news. It's ridiculous. So, of course, we have the FAMU debacle that went on this past weekend. Then there was airwaves about it was just a speculation, but the speculation made an imprint on Twitter anyway, which is, should Tennessee State return to HBCU conference instead of staying in the OVC? I will say this though, like North Carolina A&T be moving like military families. Every other year they in a different conference. Come on back home. Come on back home. I don't know about, I think that Tennessee State's been pretty stable as far as staying in a conference, but North Carolina A&T moving like military families. So I feel like all HBCUs should be in HBCU conferences because the strength that you have is being with other HBCUs. I'm going to read some of these comments. Lord, y'all already talking about taking Mr. McClellan. Let Valley live. Okay. I'm going to do a poll on who do you think should replace it. If it's true that AD Ashley Robinson is leaving, who do you think should replace him? So I need people to drop a couple of possible ADs in the chat. One of them should be, okay, we have Hakeem McClellan, but one of them should be the previous AD that was at Bethune-Cookman that exited right like around COVID when they started getting rid of the money. So pretty much everybody in the chat says that they don't think it's necessarily a good idea. But of course, it's his choice on where he wants to move to. Let's see. I'm going to do a poll. So who should replace AD Ashley Robinson? I need to find. And I'll tell you this, much like the coaching job, when Coach Deion Sanders exited and how highly touted it was, I suspect that this AD position is going to be highly sought after as well. Let me see. Lynn Thompson, that's his name. Lynn Thompson. Do you know who the FAMU AD? I know you're not talking. I know you're not talking about Gaucher. Gaucher will not be in this poll. I'm gonna put Lynn Thompson. He was the former Bethune-Cookman AD. Let me see. Not Gaucher. I guess I have to put Gaucher. Did anybody else put one in the chat? Let's see. Courtney Gaucher, Lord. Well, he's gonna have to be on a tight leash over here. You got to get 3 or 4 different signatures before you go making deals. Blue said Gaucher isn't leaving Tulane for Jackson State. 0 shot. Why? Because of the money? Is it the money? Nobody from FAMU needs to apply for anything at JSU. Hey now. I don't think that's how that works, Mr. Carey. You can't name your replacement for your exit. You cannot name your replacement for your exit. I ain't never heard of that one before. Maybe I'm just tripping, but I never heard of that. Naming the AD that's supposed to replace you. And Deion did not. And Deion absolutely did not. He knew that Coach TC Taylor was going to be chosen. And it looked like, according to Ed Reed, he was offered the job. So please don't do that. I am just surprised. I'm surprised that AD Ashley Robinson didn't leave when Prime left. That's what I'm surprised for. He didn't leave. Well, maybe, I don't know. Coach Prime used to always be like, that's my AD. That's my AD. So Blue said that it's 0 chance that Courtney Gaucher would leave. So maybe we need to pick someone else. I'm just gonna put Hakeem McClellan, which I want him to stay at. I want him to stay at Valley for a little bit. He's doing some big things over there. SWAC Diddy said he don't want to be there. We don't want him anyway. Mr. Carey, why would you say that? Prime absolutely did not name his replacement. I wish y'all would quit saying that. Prime cannot name anything. He was trying to, it was nice of him to do that, for the cameras, and they was hype about it. But AD Ashley Robinson was absolutely responsible for that hire of Coach TC Taylor, and it had absolutely nothing to do with Coach Prime and what he wants. He's not head AD at Tulane, though. Here's the thing. There's a lot of folks that will forego a job where they'll be getting paid more, or they'll be getting for the lead role. So basically, you could be the lead role and you'll take less of a pay at an HBCU, but at the end of the day, you'll be running things. So the only thing that I will say about Gaucher is that when you actually read the allegations at the FAMU, it was kind of like he was overstepping his boundaries with regards to making deals without discussing it with prior authorization, like, which you can get. That's basically how Bethune-Cookman ended up in that bad loan that they got signed. It was basically a subprime loan for student housing. So they didn't have lawyers checking over it and other people making sure they vet this particular loan properly. And 10 years, 15 years later, it's like, how did this happen? You didn't have the proper people looking over what it is that you were signing. So that's why I say no to Gaucher, because it's not a matter of the forward thinking, because I can definitely appreciate the forward thinking. So me seeing the car wraps for NASCAR, seeing the HBCU car wraps for NASCAR, I thought that was a phenomenal idea. It was a beautiful forward thinking, having HBCU representing at NASCAR. I thought that was great. The problem is when they went and got the paperwork done, they had signatures from people who didn't sign things. So that's why I would say kind of steer away from that. The next one that we want to look at, that's kind of rude to be looking at replacements right now for for AD Ashley Robinson, because it hasn't been officially been announced, but there's been way too much smoke and fire. I actually think I seen him today. When I was downstairs, which I could be wrong. I thought I saw him today. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Somebody that looked like him. Anyway, when I was checking in, I saw the commissioner, but I didn't have no makeup on, and I was dressed like I was coming off of traveling, so I didn't take a picture. But anyway, here we go. This is Lynn Thompson. So he is currently in the MEAC. Either he's currently in the MEAC, or this is an old, I think he's in the MEAC right now, which is perfect. That means that he's working. You want to come back and be our AD, Mr. Thompson? So he's the strategic advisor, executive producer, and podcast host, Lynn Thompson. And it says, Lynn Thompson joined the MEAC as senior advisor in January 2021. He's building on an already accomplished decades-long career in intercollegiate athletics, a career intimately linked to the MEAC. So he is MEAC heavy, but come to the SWAC. Thompson will research strategic objectives with the commissioner and conference leadership team, serve as a co-liaison to the strategic and long-range planning committee, provide guidance and assistance. So this is what I'll say, and this is not a diss to MEAC, but I feel like the SWAC or Jackson State would be a great power move for Mr. Thompson. I wonder what they offered him. They must have offered him the gold at the end of the rainbow. Because what did Jackson State pay him? I could pull up that video right now where it was like, my AD just signed a deal, a handsome deal, as it wasn't handsome enough. No, Mr. Ken Clark does not want to be an AD. That's not what, well, I'm not going to speak for him, but based off of what I can see, that's not necessarily the role that he wants to fill. Maybe he knows something different. I don't know. Maybe that might be a trajectory that he's interested in. We need someone that understands media. I absolutely think that Coach Reed is going to Prairie View. But it won't be this year. The reason why I say it's not going to be this year is because they made these new transfer portal rules. So if your coach leaves, you do not get to automatically get a waiver for a transfer. And I just don't see her leaving her kids like that. Her babies. I don't see it. And she likes Jackson. So while I do think that she could possibly move to Prairie View next year, I don't think she'll do it this year. Okay, somebody is citing what, Mr. Carey? Why are you telling me to stop? And this is the thing. When people say that Prairie View is a backwards move, what I would say is maybe sometimes it's not necessarily about being a backward move as it is fixing something that's broken. And what I mean by that is Jackson State is at a wild height in just everything. So outside of AD Ashley Robinson getting, what are the things that we still need done? Outside of him getting a stadium, what else? Maybe getting the AAC renovated. And I want to, please, y'all, look at this, please, because look what this says. This says AD Ashley Robinson allegedly headed back to Prairie View. Allegedly. But when I was sent this message, it was like, okay, how many times? You're not going to get that much false information on something like that, right? It's not probably say psych. This is more so of, all right, we letting you know that it's happening. And this is these particular people that were putting these out. So HBCU Game Day, and then I want to say the Mike Prince Show. They're supposed to be reputable sources of media. So I don't see them continually making false allegations for AD Robinson to leave. Man, they'll buy that contract out. What's crazy, though, is if we're always competing with money when it comes to coaches, then how do we win? We don't have Texas money. So let's look at the logistics of Prairie View. And then I'll tell you what some things are that Jackson State has. So this is what I found out. There are 9,400 students, including 8,404 undergrad and 956 graduate students at Prairie View A&M. That was for 2001-2022. And then gender distribution, it's overwhelmingly female to male ratio. For me, the one thing that Jackson State has over all HBCUs is our fan base. And when I mean by our fan base, I mean like not just because Jackson State has roughly 8,000 students. and yet we consistently get 35, 40,000 in the stands. What is the makeup of those fans? So most of those fans are, I would say the majority of the fans are, it's kind of like Jackson State is like a professional football league, because we don't have a professional football league in the state of Mississippi. But you know how everybody has a fan, like, okay, we like the Chiefs or we like such and such. So then everybody in the community, you represent the Chiefs because that's where you're from. So for Jackson State, there are people who never actually attended Jackson State. Older grandmas, great grandmas, and then there's kids that grew up around their aunts and uncles who and sisters and brothers and moms and family members that went to Jackson State. Even if they didn't go to Jackson State, they're still going to rep them. So for Prairie View, being able to replicate what Jackson State has done is going to be hard. And that's not a diss at them. It's just where they're located and then what their surrounding community support is. So could they build a powerhouse in their sports? Absolutely. A.D. Robinson has shown that he's able to make great hires. Would the support be there? That's questionable. And to which we say, if this is true, I hope we counteroffer and he stays at least through Coach T.C. Taylor's first season and the placement of the new president. The future may be a little more clear. I don't know. This announcement made it seem like they're trying to announce it right around SWAC Media Day. It made it seem like it to me, like, oh my gosh. Well, if this is announced, we don't have to necessarily worry about, we won't be focused on FAMU. That's for sure. And that's not a diss. That's a good thing for FAMU, because that means that the news cycle has run its course and we can move on. So this coming out right now, basically, we wouldn't even have to talk about it any longer. And just to let everybody know, we're not necessarily crying. We're just speaking about the breaking news. It's not something like, oh my gosh, we're not going to be able to survive. I absolutely don't think that at all. Once again, if Ashley Robinson does decide to exit stage left and go to Prairie View, Jackson State is not going to just falter and fall out of the sky. Let's see. I don't think he can do what he's doing at JSU at Prairie View. How far is Prairie View from? I was told that Prairie View is like 45 minutes from the nearest city, from the nearest big city. I don't know how true that is. Like, it's... And then, you know what? It could be just a personal move. Like, maybe he doesn't want to live in Jackson anymore. Maybe he just want to go to Texas. We don't actually know why. I thought this was an interesting concept. I don't know. I think the SWAC is doing fairly well. You guys don't think that the SWAC is doing well? Of course, we can always do better, but I think that the SWAC overall is doing well. And I wouldn't necessarily get caught up in the media rights debacle that's been spewing on the internet in droves for so long. I wouldn't necessarily get caught up on that. Oh, and I'm going to point out, maybe this is not like, I'm not trying to start any rumors. So let me reiterate. Let me put up my sign again, because I don't want anybody to say, well, SheLovesThee made it seem like it was a fact. No. This particular live, I'm showing you a article from HBCU Game Day, and then I'm showing you another announcement that was made today, which makes me believe that maybe there is some truth to the alleged allegation that AD Ashley Robinson is headed back to Prairie View. And you definitely have to be grateful that, you know what, maybe he was planning on exiting anyway, but that he saw Coach T.C. Taylor through his transition. And the level he's been going 100 and 200% with regard to fundraising and making sure that Jackson State is good, doing various fundraisers. Like, it's absolutely awesome. And someone said that we should do a nationwide search. Does not have to be another SWAC person. And someone said that my son is an incoming freshman at Prairie View, and from my home in Houston, it's 45 minutes from Northwest Houston. Okay, and it's about a 20-minute drive. So a lot of people were saying that the reason why Jackson State has such big attendance is because we don't have anything going on in Jackson. But I know that a lot of the fans that do come to Jackson State games, they come from Memphis. They come from some of the larger cities, specifically to go to Jackson State games. So maybe he's going back to school for an engineering degree. Mr. Carey, please. So I think that it's a little bit much to say that Prairie View is benefiting off of Houston. I don't think they are, which maybe that's something that AD Ashley Robinson can definitely build, relationship wise, if he decides to go there. But I don't necessarily think that the Houston, they have the Houston Rockets, they have the Houston Astros, they have the Texans, right? Is it the Texans? Aren't they in Houston? So they have all these like pro leagues. And it says an AD's sole purpose is not to raise money. Oh, an AD's sole purpose is to raise money. Money is not an issue at Prairie View. 2, our fan base. 3, our football legacy. And Prairie View doesn't have Texas money. Prairie View might not have Texas money, but they got some Texas money, which is probably more money than we have. Brianna says, we have had a lot of change in the past 8 months. And I commend Jackson State for weathering through it all, right? There's a lot of drama. Fans travel from ATL, New Orleans, Dallas, Memphis, Dallas. They also travel from Alabama as well. And they said Prairie View Stadium is always empty. Mr. Sharp did highlight that Texas Southern is right next to University of Houston, and they're both virtually downtown, but barely no one goes to TSU. So, once again, that's what I'm saying. It's the loyalty and legacy of Jackson State fans that helps. So with that being said, Lord, tomorrow is going to be a day. It is going to be a day. I'm pretty sure someone's going to ask AD Ashley Robinson about that. Ooh, Mr. Haynes said this is not breaking news. So everybody knew it except for Jackson State. Everybody knew except for us? Dang. Okay, let's talk about something else real quick. Let's put a pause on this and let's talk about something else that's been going on in the news today. We'll put that on the shelf. But that if that comes out tomorrow, like if it's confirmed tomorrow, I'm hoping that it doesn't come out tomorrow because I don't want it to take away from everything else. I will say this, FAMU is still trending after the third day. Still trending. So I wanted to talk a little bit about something else that was in HBCU news. All of these things are speculation, though. That's the only thing. Like, folks will say something and you don't necessarily want to take it as fact because it's like, are you sure about that? So there was something about Tennessee State University and the possibility that they could go to leave the OVC and come to the SWAC, which I think is a big deal that they would come to the SWAC. And Ty was talking about it on her Twitter, and she asked if the SWAC were to add one school, does it have to be two schools at a time? I'm going to pull up that particular tweet. I did notice like our, I guess Twitter changed a little bit because now it has like an X on there. It looks weird. So I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to figure out is it the same way? Are we supposed to use it the same way? But I like the idea of TSU coming back to an HBCU. And I always think that HBCUs are stronger as a unit. Our games are well attended compared to some of the other FCS schools, especially when you get two fired up fan bases. You usually are able to see a decent turnout. So I think that it's a great idea. Someone said that it was just speculation that TSU would come to the SWAC, but I think that they would benefit with their attendance. And maybe them joining will also increase the likelihood of another HBCU getting a hockey team, possibly. I just feel like some of these FCS conferences, they're moving back and forth and changing and merging, and some of the stables is the SWAC. It's made little to no changes. I mean, we've had the addition of FAMU and Bethune, but before that, we're pretty much stable as far as in years, whereas these other conferences are literally merging, breaking up, people going to the FBS, like it's all over the place. So let me pull this up. And then we'll do another poll on whether or not you think Tennessee State should join the SWAC. Me personally, I think it's a yes. I don't think that they should join the MEAC if it depends on what they're looking for. If they're looking for revitalization of their football program with regard to attendance and stuff like that, you might want to go to the SWAC, because MEAC's level of involvement with football is not that high. It says Tennessee State and maybe Tuskegee. Tennessee. Don't forget about football or basketball. So with basketball, I think that the MEAC is more involved with basketball, I think, compared to. But the reason why I said football is because football, for the most part, is what, if a program is trying to create funds for athletics, the place you're going to get that from is football. You're not going to be able to generate a profit in those other sports. Usually it's the one sport that creates that funding, and that's for the most part been football. I think they must have deleted that. Do you think they deleted it? Because I don't see it on here. Okay, here it is. I found it. TSU contemplates tough questions. And then this was a TSU alumni page. So maybe they were just trying to get the conversation started. It's not, once again, this is purely speculation. So we're just going to talk about whether or not this is a good move for TSU. So the Tigers consider leaving the OVC and align with an HBCU league from a geographical situation. The ideal partner would be the SWAC. Also, the Tigers picking up the slack for the Orange Blossom Classic in Miami. Mr. Haynes, we didn't say you guys weren't good in football. We said nobody shows up to watch you. I didn't say you weren't good in football. I said nobody comes to watch you. And I was talking about the during the regular football season, when you are supposed to be getting money for your program. I didn't say you guys weren't good at football. I said that the people don't come out to watch it. And this is my thing. I'm not trying to be funny, but why is it like that you choose? Why do you keep choosing these types of conferences over an HBCU conference? TSU renewed their relationship with the Tennessee Titans. And because of that, they are actually able to use the facilities for free. And then if they choose not to, then they actually pay them. So I'm going to read that. And this is why Conference USA, why? Why are you aligning with Conference USA when you can just play Conference USA or any other FCS teams? You can play them out of conference and go to playing all these different schools in conference, and you'll probably do better attendance-wise and monetarily wise. So New NFL stadium deal is a win for TSU football. We all know that the NFL stadium, they were just trying to get tax cuts or whatever. So right now, the university pays thousands of dollars per game to play a football game at Nissan Stadium. I feel like that is crazy. But anyway, why would I be paying y'all and you guys don't even pay taxes and you got your stadium for probably free? Anyway, under the new deal, they'll pay nothing. So this comes after the Tennessee Titans and Tennessee State University has been in partnership for years. So from 1999 to 2011, TSU played all of its home games at Nissan Stadium. TSU players even have their own locker room inside the stadium. So then the Titans returned to Hale Stadium in 2012, and now play home games at both locations. So with the new stadium deal, basically, it says that they pay $200,000 per game to play at the NFL stadium. If we choose not to play at the stadium, TSU will get $150,000 per game, which means up to $900,000 per year. So they'll pay nothing if they decide to play there. But on top of not paying anything, if they decide to play at their own stadium, they'll get $150,000 per game. That's actually a huge move, and it's definitely a win for TSU. But for me, if I have that stadium for free and I can basically do whatever I want, I'm bringing HBCUs over there. I'm not going to bring somebody from the Conference USA who's going to bring 4,000 or 5,000 people. I'm going to bring some HBCU, make it a big deal. You don't need a classic because you already have the stadium. So now it's just a matter of getting the fan bases excited to go to a game. Drip Sip says, I feel like JSU could match Prairie View's salary as long as it's not over 500,000. What? 500,000? We're going to be doing like Prime, like we did with Prime. Okay, Ashley 80 Robinson, we'll pay you 10% of tickets that go over 20,000 or 30,000 people. Will pay you 10%. That's kind of hefty. 500,000. And I understand why you're saying that you want to see them elevate to the top of the FCS. But if you look at it, HBCUs really need to be about their tradition and their money. We're not going, usually what happens is, especially with some of these other FCS teams, if they schedule a home and home with an HBCU, they'll try to play the home and home. They'll try to play at their home, and then they'll cancel the next year. They always do that. So while I'm in favor of HBCUs playing other conferences, they can absolutely play other conferences for their 2 or 3 games that they choose, the non-conference games. They can do that. But as far as like playing all of these teams, they've been playing them. So my question to Jay Hanna is, how many North Carolina A&T games did you watch? Because they've been out of HBCU conferences for a long time. Also, how many games did you follow with Tennessee State? They've been out of conference for a very long time. So if they've been out of these conferences for all of these years, especially North Carolina A&T, what has been beneficial for them? They've been out for a while. And while they do have a home and home with North Dakota State, I think TSU goes to North Dakota State first. Guarantee you that they'll probably cancel the next year. And that was one of the rumors with Jackson State. Jackson State didn't mind playing North Dakota State. North Dakota State didn't want to come to Jackson State first. They wanted us to come to them first. No, if you want to play us and you want to do a home and home, we'll do a home and home. Come to our stadium first, because that's how it works. They'll absolutely want you to go to their stadium up there in the mountains somewhere where it's 20 degrees outside. And I'm talking about TSU. TSU has been out in a predominantly white institution conference for years. And all the things that people are saying is the reason why HBCU should do this and do that. I don't see any positives in it. The FCS championship, you lose money because they take the majority of the money from the ticket sales. Then it's stacked against you because what they do is when you bid for, just like FAMU having to go to Selah or whatever, Southeast Louisiana, like that was an unfair. FAMU should have got that game. Why is it that the HBCUs never get, if we bid for a game, we don't get it at our house? Same with when Jackson State went to the WNIT and Memphis profited off of Jackson State coming up there because they knew we was going to come off in droves, but we should have gotten that game. So that's the thing. If you want to play some of these powerhouses because for some reason we need to prove it to somebody, which we don't have to prove anything to anybody, why would Jackson State go anywhere when we clear $1 million, meaning in the positive, after we get done with all of our expenses, we clear $1 million a game. And North Dakota State, South Dakota State, a lot of those teams, they have 6 home games on their schedule. If Jackson State can get those 6 games, home games, absolutely we'll play them. We'll play Southern Miss at Jackson State. Why not? Come to Jackson State first, though. If you want to do a home and home, we'll do it. You just come to our house first. And with regard to this model, like HBCUs have a gold mine in their rivalries alone. And our model should kind of be different than Ivy League or other FCS schools because we're underfunded. So with athletics, you basically, I don't know about you, but Jackson State is going to be on, let's go look and see where we're going to be at. Let's see, the Celebration Bowl, not Celebration, where's the MEAC Challenge is going to be? It's going to be on what? MEAC SWAC Challenge. How can you watch it? I'm pretty sure it's going to be on primetime on ESPN. So a lot of folks were like, we need to play these people because of exposure. Why? Why do we need that? Jackson State has the largest exposure out of a lot of even FBS schools. What channel is Jacksonville State going to be on week 1? What channel is Tulane going to be on? That's why you got to be careful when you listen to the rhetoric of others who try to devalue HBCUs and try to make you, they try to make it seem like you're not doing enough. Oh, okay, that's even better. ABC. You don't even have to have channel. You don't even have to have cable. All you need is one of those, they have these new antenna-like things that you can put up there. You can tape it to your wall. That's even better. So Jackson State and South Carolina State are going to be on ABC. for the MEAC SWAC Challenge, and that's week 0. Wow, that's crazy. ABC, you don't even have to have cable to watch it. You want to know why? Because the people know the value of HBCU football. It's never, and then it says MEAC SWAC Challenge to air in prime time on ABC for the first time ever. So what they're probably also going to do is they're trying to see if by doing this, they're going to also see the views that Jackson State was getting last season with Prime. Are those going to hold steady? And if those are going to hold steady, then I think that Jackson State does have some wiggle room, or even the SWAC on some of the games for asking for more money with media rights, because we're able to prove that 2 million people tuned into this game. So that's week 0. And HBCU Band Talk says Bethune-Cookman has hosted playoff games at home in the past, and I want to know what year was that. I wonder if it was it within the past 20 years? And also, this is also a lie. Also a lie. Colorado folks all played some of the best FBS schools in the country, and nobody got drafted. So, yeah, let's stop those narratives. False narrative. JSU must hire a search firm. Too many times our HBCUs don't do that. Stop recycling folks when there are great candidates out there looking for an opportunity. I agree. For not even just the sports, but also for our president as well. But the only thing that I will say about candidates, for me, I feel like it's important that whoever they do hire has some sort of experience with HBCUs, because getting someone who doesn't know the history or doesn't understand about HBCUs can be at the detriment. So that's one thing that A.D. Robinson did. He was able to highlight that even though we are an HBCU, even though we are in the SWAC conference, and it's a all black all of the schools that are in the SWAC are HBCUs, we were able to highlight bigger than some of those big power FCS teams. We were able to place ourselves in the stratosphere. And yes, some of that is due to Coach Prime and him elevating the awareness. But basically what I'm saying is, if you don't have a background in HBCUs, you're not going to understand how to navigate that. There's certain things that HBCUs need to hold near and dear. And I feel like one of those is, of course, like HBCU rivalries or HBCU games. Like, for instance, the Southern versus Jackson State game, that should always be a home and home. Always. And I agree with this. Celebration Bowl is once again on primetime TV. That was on ABC as well. Each school gets $1 million for their conference. And You get the transportation, it's all inclusive. Like the red carpet is laid out. The Celebration Bowl is an amazing experience, not just for the student athletes and the coaches, but the fans as well. They have a whole big thing going on in Atlanta. And I've read a couple of articles by Sam Herder, he's deals with like the playoffs and stuff like that. And I remember he was trying to say that maybe the HBCUs need to get involved in the playoffs. And I felt like, no, we don't. We don't need to be getting involved in anything dealing with now, unless you want for someone to basically make it to the playoffs, similar to what FAMU did. But I still feel like the postseason is stacked against HBCUs. It's been proven that whoever hosts the game, they have like an 80% chance of actually winning that particular game. So that's the only thing I don't like. So, and also that you don't really make money, you lose money doing it. Queen Nita Bow says, we hire coaches with no HBCU background. And to Miss Queen, this is what I would say in response to that. To her stating that we hire, let's see. Where is that head coach from? Where is this head coach from? Where is this head coach from? So our last couple of new hires have been from that particular school. So I feel like so they all have experience at that school, and they have a reverence and respect for that HBCU because that's where they graduated. What? What is Miss Queen talking about? We recruit players with no HBCU background. What does that even mean, Miss Queen? I don't know what you mean by that. Are you saying that we recruit high school players? Because I could actually go on for days about a couple of the recruits that actually came back to Jackson State or any other HBCU. They actually did have HBCU backgrounds. Their mothers, their fathers, their aunts and uncles, they all graduated from HBCUs. They went to a PWI and then they ended up returning back to an HBCU. A perfect example of that is the most recent 4-star recruit that committed for 2024, Ethan Terrell. He is a legacy with regard to his family. And then I want to say Jacobian Morgan has some roots to HBCU as well. Philip Webb, who is a 4-star, has some roots to HBCUs as well. So, Miss Queen, I don't think that particular statement is true. And I think that the NCAA is taking money because basically the FCS teams don't fight it. They don't necessarily refute doing it. They don't give enough pushback. If you let them, then they will. There's absolutely no reason for them to be taking money from folks. So on this poll of who should replace AD Ashley Robinson, the majority of everybody, 57% of folks said someone else should be the AD. Besides Courtney Gaucher, Lynn Thompson, and Hakeem McClellan, someone else should take over that role. So there is 157 in the chat. Go ahead and like the stream. I'm going to cut it off right now just because I just got here. I just wanted to talk a little bit about AD Ashley Robinson and the second news outlet that reported that he is going to Prairie View. This isn't the first one that happened. Of course, the first article that came out was HBCU Game Day. And so then I didn't actually really speak on it. I think Doc spoke on it on his show, but I didn't really too much pay attention to it because I kind of dismissed it as just rumors. But then this particular tweet came out today, and it said that multiple sources have indicated that Prairie View and A&M will soon announce Ashley Robinson to return in the role of athletic director. The last T that I'm going to drop on you all, meaning could this be the person that's possibly going to be the interim? Who knows? Let's see if you guys can see that. Let me zoom in a little bit. Oops, that's too far. Let's see. Can y'all see that? What does that say in his bio? Assistant AD. Assistant AD. As you know, this is Coach Beef or Coach Jalen Watson. He's the director of strength and conditioning, not just for the football team, but, for all student athletes. And so he has in his title Assistant AD on here. So y'all stay tuned. I'll be going live. I think me and Doc will have a show tomorrow. So make sure you go live. Or excuse me, not go live. Hit my turn my notifications on because it's SWAC Media Day. Anything can happen. And I'm over here trying to be like CNN with the breaking news. So make sure that you like and subscribe. I do have memberships available if you would like to become a member, and that information, I don't even have it out, is in I'll drop it in the chat. I'm planning on going live a couple of times throughout the day. We can't necessarily do all the way lives while ESPN is filming. So it'll be before ESPN and then maybe during lunchtime, I'll say something, I'll go live or something like that. But you're not supposed to be live while ESPN is filming. That is against the rules. So if I go live, it'll be either because I'm away from the actual SWAC Media Day and I just want to highlight some things for you guys, or I have some information to break to you real quick. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, I will be leaving out with some Jackson State music.